In this episode,
Why is it good, whether you're a vet or anybody else, to put others ahead of yourself? What's wrong with the person, a vet or anybody else, who says, my primary concern is myself. I want to live a happy life. I've got limited time here on this earth and I want to make the most of it. And the way I see to do that is to find some job that I'm passionate about, make a living at it. And that's my goal here, is to enjoy myself, to live a happy life. Um, and if I can help others out in the process, great. But that's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to achieve happiness for myself. Is that a bad thing?
Well, I mean, that's how I live my life. That's how I view it. But everyone views life differently, and everyone views selflessness and selfishness differently.
Okay. I want to get to what's objectively true here. I
Okay.
don't want to just like end in, I mean, maybe we won't be able to do that, but at least my goal here is to, I don't want to end up in some kind of a subjectivist position where it's just, well, everybody has their own opinion.
Hmm.
This guy likes to murder people for kicks. I don't. To each their own. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's your thing, go for it.
I feel like there's really no right answer.
Hmm. Well then, that's that's got some interesting implications. I mean, for instance, like how do I go about my life? Do I just flip a coin in the morning and say, today I'll be heads is selfish. All right, I guess I'll be selfish today. There's no right answer here.
No.
There's no
Well,
wrong answer. Why not just go with, just flip a coin? Welcome to another episode of the Selfishness Project, where we explore the idea of selfishness. Today I am here with
Mariella.
Mariella. All right, so we were talking off camera before we started shooting the footage here a little bit, and we were talking about charities and whether, or actually we were talking about veterinarians. I think that was the last thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
And whether it's selfish or selfless for them to do these jobs where they're helping others or helping other people, if they're doctors, or animals if they're vets. And I was saying, well, they make a lot of money, so why is that a selfless thing to do?
Well, of course. I mean, veterinarians and doctors, they do make a large amount of money, but I feel like what they're going at is this is their passion. This is what they want to do. They want to help others. They want to benefit like animal welfare. I do have a few friends that are going into the medical field, and I myself, I want to go into the veterinarian field, such as well as some other people that I know. And I know for sure that we're doing this because we love helping others. I grew up always loving animals. I loved helping animals, and my best friend, she wants to be a doctor, and she grew up helping others, and she also worked at like a local hospital where she learned this was her passion. She wanted to help people, and of course there is the money involved, but we have to make a living somehow. And but if we can make that living doing what we love and sharing our passion with others, I feel that we can live a great life.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's great when people can make a living doing something they're passionate about, as opposed to some boring job that they're not really interested in. But why construe that as excuse me, as selfless? Do you think it should be construed as selfless as opposed to selfish? I mean, isn't that a great way to live? Something that you would want to do for yourself, to live that way? If so, isn't that a selfish thing?
Well, I guess it all depends on how you view it. For sure, it can be selfish because you're getting satisfaction from helping others, and you're also, I guess, in a way, you're being selfish from getting the money from it. But how I view it as like a very selfless thing. because you're taking time out of your day to actually you're taking time out of your life, your day, to help others, to help those in need. Um, I've worked in a like a veterinary clinic, and a lot of these veterinarians, they spend like countless hours there, um, and they spent a majority of their life like working for all these. So I view it as more of something selfless than it is selfish.
Okay, then here's a question that comes to mind. I mean, what's the difference between that kind of life and, say, what Mother Teresa did? You know, Mother Teresa, saint of the Catholic Church, spent her whole life helping the poor and the sick in India, and I assume she wasn't drawing a salary for that kind of work. I mean, that's often held up as an example of selflessness or altruism, and that seems significantly different from the kinds of lives you're describing, where you have some job that you're making a lot of money at, that you're passionate about. So, are both of those things selfless? Is it right to call both of them selfless? I mean, the doctor or the vet could work for free or just for a minimal amount instead of making a six-figure salary. They could work, for minimum wage and do the same work. Wouldn't that really be the selfless thing to do?
Well, for sure. But like I said, we have to make a living somehow.
They are.
Yeah,
They're getting
for
paid
sure.
minimum wage.
I totally respect Mother Teresa and everything that she did. But for example, I mean, for a long time, I worked at an animal shelter for free. I wasn't getting paid. I was going there because I wanted to help the animals. So, I mean, I viewed it as something selfless. But
So,
what you're getting at between Mother Teresa and like professions such as doctors and veterinarians, um, I think they're both selfless. But Mother Teresa, she definitely had a bigger case, and she was definitely more selfless than a lot of us here.
okay. So they're different in degree, not in kind. They're both selfless, but she's
Oh
just
no,
more.
she's definitely more kind.
No, no, no. I mean kind as in not in the sense of being nice.
Okay.
I mean in the sense of a type of thing. They're this engaged in the same type of behavior. They're both selfless. That's what I mean by the same kind of behavior. In that they're both selfless, but it's just they're different degrees of selflessness. Mother Teresa is much more selfless than the typical doctor or vet.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So then, what would be what is the implied definition of selflessness that we're working with here when we're saying both of them are selfless? Is it like any time you do something that benefits somebody else, you're being selfless, even if you get something in return? Is that the idea?
Well, it depends on how you view it. You could call yourself a selfless person. You can also make a selfless action, which I think those two are different things.
Selfless person and selfless action are different.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, I feel like if you're describing a selfless person, that's someone that uh, puts others before themselves a lot. But if you're doing a selfless action, I feel like everyone can make selfless actions. Every day you can, put someone else before yourself. So I feel like there's like a big difference between those two.
So a selfless person maybe is a person who consistently does selfless actions,
Yeah.
but everybody can do selfless actions, but you only become a selfless person if you characteristically do selfless actions.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
It's okay. So it's just like an overarching trait you have if you're a selfless person. But even I guess, a selfish person could now and then take a selfless action.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't call that a selfless person because that's not how they usually are.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay. All right. So then I guess what makes an action selfless is what? That you're putting someone else's interest ahead of your own?
I don't think I don't think someone else's interest is the right word to describe it. It's more like a person or something before yourself.
Okay. Putting others ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, is that what doctors or vets, let's just take vets, is that what vets do? Are they being selfless? Are they putting others ahead of themselves when they are doing their work? Or, I mean, are they just doing what's best for themselves? I mean, maybe it depends on one vet to the next. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
some are, some aren't. Um, but, or do you think that's like all vets, like it's in the nature of the profession that if you're a veterinarian, then you are necessarily doing something selfless?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let me try to make a case for that there are some selfish vets. Let's say I'm a vet and I do like helping other people and their pets. Um, but the reason I'm a vet is that I get pleasure from it. It gives me satisfaction to help other people out in these ways and also to make money from it. And if I didn't get that satisfaction and I didn't get that money, I would not be a vet. That's just the kind of person I am, let's suppose. Now, couldn't there be people with that kind of attitude who are vets?
Well, for sure. I mean, I can't categorize everything. But yeah, I mean, from everyone I've met so far, they definitely did have a passion for what they do, and they're very, very kind people. I don't think I've ever approached, um, I'd say, a veterinarian or someone in the medical field that thought that way. I feel like they're more, they're here for the people and they're here for the animals. I mean, of course, I haven't met the whole entire veterinarian field. I haven't met the whole entire medical field, but just from what I know from personal experiences, that's how I saw it.
Okay. So they're not there primarily for themselves. They're primarily doing what they do because it's helping others.
Yeah.
That's your experience.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So I guess the question I started with, I don't know if it was on camera when we started, but at least when I first saw you, was do you think it's good to be selfless? And to that you said yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And then my question is why? So, why is it good, whether you're a vet or anybody else, to put others ahead of yourself? What's wrong with the person, a vet or anybody else, who says, my primary concern is myself. I want to live a happy life. I've got limited time here on this earth and I want to make the most of it. And the way I see to do that is to find some job that I'm passionate about, make a living at it. And that's my goal here, is to enjoy myself, to live a happy life. Um, and if I can help others out in the process, great. But that's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to achieve happiness for myself. Is that a bad thing?
Mm. Well, I feel as if, I mean, I'd say a majority of people live their life that way. Um, for sure since it's their life, they're trying to put their happiness first over other people's. But I guess it all depends on how you view life. Of course, we're not here forever, and how I think of it, we have to make the best out of what we have in the life that we live. And for me, I think it's more important to put others before myself. I feel like it's more important to think of others more than you think of yourself. For me, I guess you could say I could be selfish in a way because I like to make other people happy. For me, I'd rather have other people happy than being happy myself. Um, it all stems back on how you view life and um, how much you truly care about people and what your passion really is and where it lies.
So I want to know what you think about goodness and badness. Like whether your way of living, I mean, if your way of living is to put others' happiness ahead of your own versus someone who puts his or her happiness, her own happiness first, which one of those, I mean, is it just optional? Are they equally good choices or is one better than the other?
Well, it totally depends because I feel like in order to make others happy, you have to really be happy yourself, and in that way, you can truly live a happy life. Um, but I feel like one or the other, I feel like they're not. Um, I feel like one is not exactly better than the other one. Um, for example, you can try to always constantly make people happy, and then you can be unhappy yourself, but like you won't be living a happy life. And another example is if you care more about your happiness and you don't care about anyone's happiness, well, I mean, you're not really going to have a happy life either. So it all depends on how you view life and how you live it.
So it sounds like, on your view, there's a harmony of interests, perhaps. Like your happiness is like you're not really going to be happy yourself if if you're not having any care for others at all. So you won't really be happy um, if you don't care about others' happiness. Is that part of what you think?
Well, I mean, that's how I live my life. That's how I view it. But everyone views life differently, and everyone views selflessness and selfishness differently.
Okay. I want to get to what's objectively true here. I don't
Okay.
want to just like end in. I mean, maybe we won't be able to do that, but at least my goal here is to. I don't want to end up in some kind of a subjectivist position where it's just, well, everybody has their own opinion.
Hmm.
This guy likes to murder people for kicks. I don't. To each their own. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's your thing, go for it. That's very subjective, and it's. I find that to be an unsatisfying position to be in. I would like to see if we can find some right answers where we can like, come to a view on this is the right way to live, which is not to say there are no options at all. Like everybody has to be a veterinarian or a doctor. No, there's thousands of
Yeah,
career
there's definite
choices,
things. Yeah.
but there are also some limits on that. I think, like if I want to be my career to be murdering innocent people, I think that might be out of
Yeah.
bounds if our goal is to live a good, happy life.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like the boundaries here, and see if we can determine, for example, on the question of selflessness, whether there's an objectively right answer to whether it's a good thing, as opposed to, oh, I just personally don't happen to like it. So for some people, selfishness is fine. For other people, it's not. So, um, I mean, is that, do you have a view on whether selflessness or selfishness is objectively bad or good, either one of them? Or do you think it's just an issue of personal preference? Is it just a subjective matter?
Um, for me, I view it as more of subjective matter. Um, I feel like everyone is different. The way they view selfishness and selflessness differs from person to person.
Okay.
But if you're asking me
Yeah.
personally, I feel like it's more important to be selfless than it is to be selfish.
Okay. I guess on the, I mean, so on the point that everyone has their own view, I mean, people have all kinds of views. And some people, but it could be that some of those views are right and others are wrong. I mean, some people, many people in history have thought the earth was flat,
Hmm.
but they were wrong.
Yeah.
So I think for the purposes of this discussion, um, or at least this part of this discussion, I don't think it's really important that people have different views.
Mhm.
I want to know what the right view is. Um, just as, yeah, people have different views about whether the earth is round or flat,
Mhm.
but I want to know which one is true. that's what that's what I want to get at. So, um, do you think there's a truth of the matter here? Granting people have different views on
Mhm.
whether it's good to be selfish or selfless, but is it that one of those views is right or the other is wrong, or are they both wrong? Is this question of whether it's good to be selfish or selfless? Is this like the question of whether the Earth is round or flat? In that there's a right answer, um, but people have different opinions on what the right answer is. But there is one right answer. They're not all right.
Mhm.
So do you think this question is like that question, where there is a right answer, even though people have different views on what the right answer is?
Well, I mean, I don't mean to be a smart ass here, but I feel like the Earth being round or flat, that's more factual because it's factual that the Earth is round. But the idea, or not exactly the idea, the the characteristic of being selfish and selflessness, that's more. I guess I wouldn't really put that in the category as factual because that more differs from person to person.
Okay. It sounds then like it's subjective.
Yeah.
So there's really not a right answer. If it's not like the question of the Earth is the Earth round or flat, to which there's a right answer and a
Mhm.
wrong answer. If it's not like that, then there's no truth of the matter here. There's not a right answer to the question of should one be selfish or selfless.
Yeah, I don't think so. I feel like there's really no right answer.
Well then, that's got some interesting implications. I mean, for instance, like how do I go about my life? Do I just flip a coin in the morning and say, today I'll be heads is selfish. All right, I guess I'll be selfish today. There's no right answer here.
No.
There's no
Well,
wrong answer. Why not just go with, just flip a coin?
no. Well, I mean, you can't really. Well, how I see it, you can't really live your life, with that kind of method. I feel like it's more, you have to live your life on based on how you want to live it. Of course, I mean, you can't go around doing like bad stuff, but it all goes down to how you want to live your life. And I feel like everyone's different in this kind of matter. Everyone wants to live their life differently. But it all goes back to, like you said, the question being selfish and being selfless. Um, I mean, I think it's more important to be selfless, but how other people view it, it differs from person to person.
Yeah, so your answer is just your subjective opinion. It should have no influence on me at all. You have no way to. I mean, why isn't your position totally arbitrary? It has no basis at all. It's just. Is it just an article of faith? I mean, is it like. Um, I think that right now there's a giraffe standing behind me. I have no basis at all for that, but I think it. I mean, is that what your view is like with selfishness or selflessness? You have no basis for thinking it's a good thing, yet you believe it nonetheless.
Well, I mean, like I said,
Because if you could, um, I mean, there's actually good grounds for thinking there's no giraffe. I mean, you don't see one, but that's something that people can agree on. It's objective. We can both look.
yeah.
But if it's really a subjective thing, then um, how can you? It seems like if you think it's good to be selfless, um, there ought to be a way to convince others of it, or else it's arbitrary. It's not based on anything. Because the same reasons that lead you to think it's good should be available to anyone else. as well. So if you give me your reasons for thinking it's good, then I can evaluate those reasons
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh yeah, I see, that makes sense. I agree with you. It's so why don't the reasons? I mean, whatever your reasons are, maybe they're not like clearly articulated in your minds. Maybe I don't know, but whatever those reasons are, those should be available to anyone, shouldn't they? Sorry, I kind of jumped in when you were saying
Yeah.
something, and uh, I should have let you just finish. But I'll stop there and give you a chance to. Talk.
Um. Well, usually, I forgot what I was saying.
Oh,
Usually, when I like
damn.
say something, I get really into it, and then like I kind of forget afterwards.
Oh, my
No,
apologies.
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, like to answer your question, I do get what you're saying for sure. Um, and I guess your response to I don't really have a position. Um, well, like I don't think so. Like I said, like people live their lives the way they want to live it, and how I want to live my life. It's to be selfless. It's to put others in and to put others' needs instead of myself, and to care more about others instead of myself. Well, I guess I'm saying it more of the wrong way. I'd say to put others before myself. Um, and I feel that way. I feel why I need to be selfless is it's more of just I feel like when you make selfless actions, you're helping the world more at a time than when you than compared to if you're doing things on a selfish basis. So I feel like the more we take selfless actions, the more we're helping people, and the more we're helping the world.
Okay. There's a lot going on in this conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe I should go meditate on it or something and process it further. All right. I think this is, unless there's anything else you want to add, maybe this is a good place to bring it to a close. Any
Mm,
final thoughts you want to?
I feel like I've said.
All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for participating.
All right, it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah.